it's very difficult to maintain that animals are fundamentally just like humans. Well, they're not in this one very important respect.
The power of our democracy.
What about animal rights? I understand you and Peter Singer are kind of polar opposites about animal rights. How would that fit in? You maintain that only agents capable of agreeing to obligations and social rules have moral standing, and animals therefore don't have this, therefore they don't have rights. Are there no other species other than humans that are allowed into our moral circle, or is it just humans that have this?
Oh, that's a very interesting subject. I'm still inclined to say, if you look around the world, you'll find that every animal right is wildly broken.
Oh, yes?
People in China eat cats and dogs, for example. They're considered a delicacy there, etc., etc. Now, one can say, look, there are all sorts of pretty good human reasons for leaving animals alone. For one thing, they're interesting. I mean, they populate the world and they make the world a fun place to be in. I agree with that. I think that's very important. And as a matter of fact, over the years, well, I've become pretty much a vegetarian. I say pretty much because I don't believe in vegetarianism as a philosophy, but I do think that animals are nice or interesting or whatever, and I don't eat at least much in the way of meat anymore, although my family eats no meat at all.
Right. So then, whereas Singer maintains that we need to enlarge our moral circles to include more and more animals, you don't maintain that. And is it because you cannot enter into some type of contract with animals? Well, is that the fundamental reason?
That's right. I think Hobbes is right in the sense that if we have no morals, what'll happen is that life will be awful. And the relation between us and any animal you can think of is determined by this, because animals have no scruples about eating human beings, at least the ones that do that. I don't think there's a reason for distributing rights in such a way that we have to respect those things. If the animals could talk, if they could share our language, then we might get somewhere and we might admit animals to the moral kingdom, so to speak. But my own view is that as far as rights are concerned, those are strictly interhuman things. As to humans and animals, that goes beyond rights, which doesn't mean that there isn't anything to be said for them. I think there is, but not that. It's very difficult to claim, as Peter Singer does, and Tom Reagan before him. It's very difficult to maintain that animals are fundamentally just like humans. Well, they're not in this one very important respect.
Right. What about stories of animals that save humans, whales or dolphins that help drowning, humans and whatnot? Could you say there's some kind of cognizance going on there that the animal knows that another being is in trouble?
Yes, I think I would, and that they're quite interesting. I'm sure that they have caused quite a few people to become vegetarians. I don't know.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But then again, you'll remember that in human wars, we're always fighting an enemy that's perfectly capable of conversing with us, and that has to stop the war from going on. Now, I think it would if everybody in question could think about it But almost everybody lives under a political system that keeps them from effectively opposing wars if the government wants to have one, and that's unfortunate. But I think that's bad politics.
Wasn't it Hannah Arendt who says we tend to dehumanize the enemy, so it's easier to kill them?
Yes, she does. But in the strict sense of the word human, that's just not true. As it were, ignore their humanity. We aggress against them when we make war, but that we should have a right to do so.
Now, are you still a critic of Marxism? Many of today's youth are kind of anti-capitalism. What's wrong with Marxism?
Well, quite a bit is wrong with him. I have a paper in which I detail Marx's errors, which I think are very basic. I mean, he has 3 basic theses, and all of them, I think, can be shown to rest on confusions. I think that Marxism is a very confused philosophy, and its economic theory in particular is provably just plain nuts.
You mean the redistribution of wealth?
Well, yeah, on the redistribution of wealth, which they claim to be in favor of course, except for themselves. The leaders somehow, Vladimir Putin is one of the richest men probably the richest man in the world right now in terms of what he can do, what he can control. Anyway, I think that Marxism as a practical philosophy simply doesn't work. I mean, that's what most people say. I think they're right about that. But I think it doesn't work because of theoretical considerations. I think once you examine the theoretical claims of Marxism, it just falls apart.